Hey everybody, it's your girl Sherry. Welcome back to Legend Actually podcast. Y'all, your girl has just gotten back from Podfest 2025. Took place in Orlando, Florida. Let me just say this, y'all. For all of my fellow podcaster content creators out there, you need to go to these festivals. It was such a good time. I learned a lot and I enjoyed the networks. I met some amazing content creators, and that's going to help over here because we've got some great collabs already planned, y'all. I cannot wait. I just enjoyed meeting everyone and wishing everyone safe travels. Shout out to Truth and Shade. Shout out to Auntie Outside. Shout out to Everyone Can't Go. Shout out to Relatively Famous, all of y'all. Shout out to the Willie Freeman Show, who will be coming soon. All of you were great, and there were so many others that I can't name at the moment. But this year, you will see me collab with some of those dynamic content creators. Also, to my fellas, Goat Cast Podcast, they accompany me on the trip. For those that don't know, Goat Cast Podcasts are family. The CW is my brother and Big Nige is my son. And we had an amazing family affair. We love what we do, guys, and we just enjoy it. Now, let's get to the matter at hand, y'all. So because I was off in Florida attending the festival, I did not get a chance to get on this last week and talk Real Housewives, the Salt Lake City finale. Typically, I'm on Thursday nights with my Bravo bestie, Joey, and we do double recaps. Joey is not going to be joining me tonight because he is not feeling well. So, y'all, shout out and prayers to Joey, praying for a speedy recovery, and he'll be back with me, prayerfully next week. But I wanted to just focus today on Salt Lake City. So it won't be a double recap. We are focusing on the finale because I think it deserves to be the focus. So for those of you all that tuned in on the last Wednesday, you know that it started off with Heather Gay doing her iconic monologues. Now, I know some of you all have said, or some people I've read in some of the fan groups that I'm in, that, Heather Gay is just changing and she's really full of herself now. That actually is addressed in this episode. But one thing you got to give her credit for, y'all, she does do a killer monologue. It brings the drama. It makes it seem more engaging. And what Salt Lake City does well is they give us epic production. They make it like cliffhangers, the music. I mean, it just leaves you wanting more. The ladies did not disappoint. Season 5 has been a phenomenal season. And, I, like a lot of people, was pulling for Monica to get another season, thinking that it would be boring without her. But y'all, I can't lie. Monica Garcia, I love you, sis, but the ladies at Salt Lake did their big one this season. I can tell you, episode after episode was just amazing. They all brought their A game. I mean, the addition of Bronwyn Newport was amazing. She stood out, y'all. She's an amazing addition to the cast. Brittany Bateman, the friend of, that's debatable for me. She definitely assisted in some moments that made us laugh and some that made us a little bit irritated. But honestly, y'all, and then the emergence of Mary Cosby. I mean, we saw her in a different light, y'all. She was vulnerable. She was participating. She was funny. She was shady. She was all the things that make great housewives. She's great TV, and I'm so glad. And even despite the very serious thing that she went through with her son, Robert Jr., y'all, she brought it this season. So I'm giving this season literally a 10 out of 10, y'all. And I don't do that often. But season 5, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City brought that fire. Even though they hold snowflakes. Those snowflakes were melting, y'all. They brought the fire. So the last episode of the season is called When All Is Said and Done. So the ladies are in their final day at, their final night at Puerto Vallarta. They're on their trip that Lisa Barlow planned. This is their last day. It opens up with Heather and Meredith at the table while the ladies were grabbing some breakfast or a little snack before they do the 8 Lisa's lunch. But we noticed that Meredith has this crazy, it's a sleep mask. She's kind of got it over one eye like an eye patch, kind of like a symbolic throwback to Heather Gay's eye patch, the whole eye thing, black eye debacle, y'all. Anywho, turns out Meredith said that she didn't sleep well and that she discovered she had a scratched cornea, which is why she is donning her furry sleep mask over one eye. But Meredith, to not be a bad sport, is excited to join in for this themed lunch. They are doing the Lisa lunch. All of the ladies are doing their Lisa look. Everybody is donning a brunette wig and some of Lisa's favorite fashions to include Tom Ford. So they do. They get together. Lisa comes down. She's the last one to show up with the ladies as they're getting ready to go to their lunch. And they say that, for the first time, Lisa Barlow is speechless. Child, she was delighted to see all them ladies rocking that straight brunette hair like Lisa does so well. She loved it. And this was Heather's way of kind of paying her back, giving her an homage, themed luncheon, something that she could really get into, all the ladies looking like her and acting like her to pay her back for a great trip. So Lisa thinks the ladies have never looked better. They go to the restaurant. She's like, a reservation for 8 Lisas. And so everybody is doing their impression of Lisa. Meredith starts out with her Diet Coke, and she taps it and says, I've got my Diet Coke. It just needs the ice. Brittany gets up in her brown wig, says that she has the perfect body, the perfect family, and I have the perfect life. And I've never been mistreated by anyone because just because I'm nice doesn't mean they're good. I didn't get that, y'all, but there's a lot of things that Brittany says and does goes right over my head or just simply makes zero sense. Okay. Heather stands up and says, I've got glam in Monaco. I've got glam in Saint-Tropez, glam everywhere I go. Just very on brand for Lisa Barlow. She doesn't go anywhere without her glam. And then we have Bronwyn, who's got the phone up, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry. You caught me doing my 200 selfie of the day. I have my Tom Ford, my Bottega, very exclusive. I got it off the runway. I know you didn't get it because you weren't there. Also very much on brand with Lisa Barlow. Mary gets on the fun. That's another thing, y'all. Mary participated. Listen, she had on her wig too. She was doing her Lisa. She got up and she was like, oh my God, look, I have that. As if to say, whatever designer bag, whatever designer you got, Lisa's got it too, honey. She will not be outdone. Very, very on brand for Lisa Barlow. And then we had Angie. She was like, oh, okay, you have a Range Rover. That's nice, but I've got a G-Wagon. Again, Lisa on brand. And then, y'all, we go to Whitney. It's Whitney's turn. And Whitney started off doing good. She gets up and says, oh, I have my $60,000 ring. I have like 25 of them. And then she gets up from the table to walk away so that you can see that the tag is still on her shirt. And Lisa's like, you like it's doing good, but you left the tag on. And she was like, yeah, I did that because I'm going to return it after the trip. Lisa was like, sis, you were doing good until that. That's not me. And Whitney says in confessional that she would rather die than be Lisa for the day. But since Lisa has been treating her like ish, and it's been horrible to her, she's going to lean into it a little bit. And she's going to be the fakest, phoniest, cattiest, most materialistic bee that she can be. So back at the table, Lisa says she was all about Whitney until she showed that she had the tags hanging off. So Whitney said the tag thing was actually appropriate because it's been rumored for years that she wears her clothes and then returns them. Child, Lisa was mad about that, honey. She was hot. She was like, no, ma'am. She was like, she would never. And she even invited her to go through her closet, and you'll see everything she's worn is still up in there. She has closets, 2 full closets. And she wants to know, like, look, Whitney, what are you implying? And she keeps asking her, what are you implying? And Whitney says, maybe that you're a little more fake than you come off. And Lisa laughs and is like, I'm fake. And Whitney says, I think you're very fake. She said she thought she was very bad at diving into connections, feelings, and understanding people. Then, y'all, she went on to say that you're in friendships that serve you and that when they no longer serve you, you move on. Okay, y'all, pause there. If a relationship no longer serves you, shouldn't you move on? And look, I know Whitney's in a lot of therapy, and you can tell that by the way that she talks. She uses a lot of therapy jargon, and that's cool because we all know that Whitney's had some hurt, childhood hurt from her father, church hurt. She's been in therapy doing the work, which I'm a huge advocate for. But she throws in a lot of therapy jargon. But this time it fell flat. I mean, I knew what she was getting at, but it didn't land. It didn't land very well. And Lisa says, nah, that's not even who I am, so you're tripping. And Whitney says, well, you tend to make things about yourself. Okay, Whitney. Now, that I can rock with. I agree. She does do that. And she says, no, no, you make everything about me. You talk about me, my businesses, my family, my marriage, everything. And Whitney's like, you do the same to me. And then Lisa was like, well, run me some examples then. And she said, you brought information in about her business to the women. And Lisa says, no, the info on your business was already out there because of you. And she's like, it had nothing to do with me. Lisa said, your gut is off. It's leaking. Take a probiotic. You're a mess. Child, listen, one thing that I could say about Salt Lake City this season, them ladies and those zingers and one-liners were killing the game. Not that you're off and your gut is leaking. Take a probiotic. Child. Bronwyn and Mary were through. I mean, those ladies. At any rate, she then tells her, she's so disgusted. She's like, take that wig off. Take it off. You're not me. And she says, you could never be me. And Whitney was like, I don't even want to. I don't want to be you because you're mean, nasty, horrible. You're a nasty, horrible person. And Lisa comes back, nah. One thing about Lisa Barlow, when it comes to her and Whitney, she is consistent. She never misses an opportunity to make sure that she lets everyone know that she thinks Whitney is a liar. And not just any liar, honey, an effing liar. And child, I don't know about y'all, but I watched the episode on Peacock, the unedited version. There were F-bombs being thrown like they throw drinks on each other, baby. I can't say it on YouTube. They don't play them games, but you know what I'm talking about? And here's another thing, y'all. Whitney and this, she goes hard at Lisa. Every time they've gotten into a showdown or disagreement, you see Whitney leaning in and tell her to shut the F up and listen to her. And, I get it because Lisa talks a lot. Lisa talks loud and fast. And I think that Whitney feels kind of not necessarily intimidated because she does try to hold her own. But I think that she feels shut down. Let's go there. She feels shut down, very shut down by Lisa Barlow. So it seems to be her go-to, particularly this season, that every time they get into it, she tells Lisa to shut the F up and listen. So Lisa gets up, y'all, and charges at her and tells her to take that effing wig off her head. And she was like, you lied about me. You lied about my marriage. You lied about everything. And she's like, you lie about everything that I effing care about. She's Lisa talking about Whitney. And she maintains, look, you've done the same to me. And Lisa says, prove it. And she's like, and when you run me the proof, I'm going to sue you. I'm going to sue the F out of you and take your new house. I said, dang. Y'all, what it was Whitney trying to have her moment because Whitney has been slipping this season. After she had the girls in Milwaukee, she kind of faded to black a little bit. This was her chance, her moment to do that, that one-on-one with Lisa. She wanted to run her ones with Lisa, and it didn't really fall not quite the way that I think Whitney planned it because Lisa blew her spot up. She was like, no, ma'am, not only do what you're talking about, I'm not going with it, You shut up. By the way, if what you say is true, run me some receipts. And if you can't, I'm going to sue you and take your new house. Ciao. At any rate, here comes Brittany chiming in. And she says, Lisa, I haven't even known you that long, but you've been the most loyal person to me. And she tells Whitney what she says makes no sense. Child, why does she do that? Mary's like, I don't know why you're chiming in on anything with the fact that you recorded this whole group. And once everybody got a little tipsy, they forgot about it. But Mary's like, I didn't forget. Yeah, your spot got blown up recording everybody. Y'all, wasn't that crazy? I mean, okay, my thoughts on Brittany Bateman. Like I said, she has some moments in the season, for like comic relief. She's a good prop, I guess. The storyline with her and Jared Osman and her little announcements. But she came off as some of the new additions do sometimes that are your one-hit wonders. Not even hit wonders, your one-and-doners, okay? Her tragic flaw is she tries way too hard. And it just doesn't land. It comes off as silly, just very thirsty. It just doesn't land. So, at any rate, Brittany comes back on Mary and is like, are you serious? And then she tells the group, I'm so pissed off at all of y'all anyway. She said, she's tried so hard. And again, Brittany, that's the problem. You're trying too hard. Of course, honey, by now, Meredith enters the chat. And she says she's pissed at everyone. She's like, you're pissed at everyone? And she asked, because you're the one that recorded us. And Brittany says, no, I'm not mad about that. I'm mad because y'all do the exact same thing, and says to Mary, especially you. Now, y'all, then she goes on to say, y'all didn't see Mary recording outside the window. And see, that's what I'm talking about. That don't make any sense. Mary was like, girl, go on somewhere with that. And she basically said, girl, shut up. Like, what you say don't even make any sense anyway. Mary recording outside. Didn't they see her? Mary wasn't recording. And even Heather chimes in and screams, look, none of us record. We don't record each other. None of us record each other. You're reaching. Yeah, you're reaching. Sound crazy. Mary in confessional said, honey, don't come for me because, sweetheart, you don't want me to open this door because I come out kicking. I know that's right, Mary. Brittany, Mary Cosby is not what you want, okay? Elsewhere, not Mary. So Brittany says, okay, well, I'll point it out when everyone does the exact same thing that I did. And that's when Heather tells her, shuts her down, look, none of us go around here recording each other. So just go on bye-bye with that. Bronwyn in confessional, y'all, says she's not a crier, but she's about to start crying because she wants all the time back that she's had to watch Brittany cry. She was like, it was a complete waste of my life. Y'all, and this woman don't just cry. She goes in full-on hyperventilation mode. It's very silly, very childish, very thirsty. So Brittany then goes on to say they've all been torturing her, calling her vile, vicious, and cruel. Now, we all know who called her vile, vicious, honey, and cruel. That is none other than Meredith Marks. So she was like, honey, that's how I was feeling. And they flashed back to that scene in that Sprinter van when Meredith went off. Like my Bravo bestie Joey always says, he loves an unhinged Meredith Marks. So do we, child. And this season, she gave us a lot of that. So they flash back to the scene. And Brittany says she'll never, ever recover from that. And Meredith was like, well, I'm entitled to my feelings. And she's like, maybe I won't recover from the things that you said or the things that you imply. And she goes back to referencing how she felt like what Brittany said was like calling her mental health in question and accusing her of having an eating disorder. Now, when me and Joey were talking about this last week, I kind of just was wondering, like, because she just wouldn't get off it. I'm not a fan of Brittany, but I have to wonder, like, she just kept going back to that. What Brittany said was she overheard her crying and throwing up. I mean, she didn't say the woman had an eating disorder. I don't know, it's just a little strange to me. We're going to keep an eye on that because Meredith keeps coming back to that. And that's not really what Brittany said. Y'all slide in the comments, please, and let me know what you think of that. I just find it a little strange. And a lot of people are saying, I don't know what y'all think, but a lot of folks are saying that something this season has been off with Meredith. I don't know. I like I said, I agree with Joey. I love an unhinged Meredith Marks. Is she a little strange? Yeah. Was she acting stranger than before? Not to me. But y'all slide in the comments and let me know what y'all think. I mean, she was coming with all she had, but you have to remember that in the other seasons she had endured a lot of behind her back talk about her and her husband and her business, and I think that she just sits on ready now. So where it may seem like ticking time bomb, child, maybe she going through menopause too. I mean, listen, I'm gonna have a whole series on that, by the way, on Perspectives with Sherry. So, real talk, ladies, that's a real thing now. That can make you go from 0 to 100 too. So, there's that. At any rate, y'all slide in comments and tell me what you thought about Miss Meredith Marks and her moments of unhingement. But at this point, there's a lot of back and forth, and Brittany says, look, clearly I have no friends at this table, and she does what she typically does. She gets up from the table crying, and Angie goes after her and Lisa, and that does not make Mary very happy. We know that Mary and Angie has developed a beautiful friendship, y'all. I've loved watching them become close. We know that at this point, she has not told any of the other ladies in the group about her son, Robert Jr. She has confided solely in Angie K, and Angie has kept that and has really checked in on Mary and been a really good friend. But we'll find out as we get further in the recap kind of why Mary's feeling the way she's feeling. But for whatever the reason, Mary and Brittany never got on the same page. They just don't like each other. Started from the opening conversation on episode 1 of the season where Mary thought that Brittany was calling her broke. And they just never recovered, child. So Mary's no fan of Brittany. I don't know that Brittany's a fan of Mary. And, she expects her friend to have her back and not run after the girl that, that she kind of got into it with. So we can say it's a little childish, but we find out it's a little deeper than that with Mary. So Lisa tells Brittany that she understands how hard it is when everybody's kind of yelling at her and ganging up on her. It's hard to argue and gather your thoughts. And she said they've all been there. In confessional, Lisa says there apparently is only room for one Lisa Barlow, and a lunch full of Lisas clearly was not a good idea. So, y'all, they get ready to wrap up the lunch, and they move on to the next activity. Some of the ladies are going horseback riding, and some are going to make ceviche. Not a lot in that scene, y'all, other than there was a cute moments with the horses. Mary's confessional about how she loves horseback riding, but it's a real serious problem if you fall, if the horse goes down and you go down with it and you break something and don't recover. And then she makes a remark about Mary shouldn't be horseback riding because she can't hear. And you just, there's some things in life that when you can't hear, you just need to let go. Ciao. Per Mary Cosby. So we wrap up those two activities. The horseback riding group was Lisa Barlow, Mary Cosby, Bronwyn, and Meredith Marks. And your ceviche was Heather Gay, Brittany Bateman, Angie K, and Whitney. So that was that. They split up. But now we're back together. But before that, Mary does tell the ladies after they did their horseback riding that she was done with Angie. And they all ask why. And she explains that she does not like Brittany. And they asked, does Angie know that? And she was like, yeah, I've told her multiple times. And she went and checked on that girl, like knowing that she's not my friend. And she keeps coming for me. They all kind of say, well, we get it. And at that point, Mary in confessional says that she doesn't bond with people easily or tell them her business. But when she does, she has to be able to 100% trust you. And she feels somewhat of a type of betrayal from Angie. So She also says that when she feels betrayal, she'll turn around and unmemorize you and forget your entire existence. And she can do that because she's been through a lot. And she opens up a lot about that at the dinner table when they all come to eat. Which we get to that part, y'all. Lisa has a fabulous dinner plan for the ladies at this premier theme park. It is beautiful, making me want to add Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, onto my travel list. Tablescape was beautiful, y'all. All these fabulous flowers. Everybody sits down. And y'all, this wore me out. Now, is it just me, or when Brahma decides to do her Mexican toast, which meant she said it in Spanish, but she said love, health, and wealth, and time in which to spend them all. And it was well done. And before she could even get it out, here comes Heather to our last night in Puerto Vallarta. And like just basically cuts off Brahma's moment. Stop it, Heather. So at this point, everybody has got around the table. They're getting ready. They're doing their ordering. And Angie makes the comment that her and Meredith have made eye contact a couple times. Seems like their relationship is going in the right direction. Meredith agrees. And she says they've evolved and looks like they're coming back to being friends. Meredith is cautiously optimistic that that'll happen. And Angie admits that the problem had been that she truly believed that Meredith was behind the rumors about her husband, Sean, getting out. And we all know those were the rumors that her husband was actually gay. And those really hurt her. So it made Angie K, carry a grudge. But she says with the fact that Meredith maintains that she did not say it, at this point, y'all, she's going to let it go. And she's going to see how they move forward. And so at this point, they're back to and open to being friends. So y'all, the food comes out and everybody kind of got a smorgasbord of things, pizza, tacos, what have you. Angie offers Mary a slice of pepperoni pizza to no response and crickets. Mary does not answer her. And Angie says that she's been very quiet with her. And Mary's like, I know. And Angie wants to know what she did. And Mary tells her, running after that girl, running after Brittany. And she's like, so you don't even care how I feel about her. And Angie says that she does care. And Mary's like, but you ran after her. So, basically you picked your side. You went after her and she's not my friend more than anything. She's more like my enemy and you ran out behind her. And Angie tells her that she spent months trying to gain her confidence. And Mary quickly says, look, I didn't ask you to. That was your choice. What I loved about this scene, y'all, and I'm going to go through it, but what you could see was a very vulnerable moment for both women. You saw a very hurt Mary. She loves Angie, and she considers Angie her real friend. And then you see that Angie, in turn, also truly loves Mary because she was so hurt by the way Mary was treating her. It was a very tender moment. And it is one of the things that I really like about Salt Lake. These women clearly really do know each other. Some of them are closer to each other than others, but they're friends. And it just seems, that was a genuine moment, y'all. That moment had me in my feels. There's nothing like a good sister girlfriend that has your back, that really loves you, that really rides for you. Good friends are hard to find sometimes, y'all. And in that moment, you saw Angie really fighting for Mary to really understand that, look, despite that, I got you. I really do love you. And she says, Angie said, Mary said, look, you made that choice. And Angie said, but you made the choice to be my friend. And you said that God brought us together. And she said, I believe that. And you too said that you believe that. And Mary said, well, I did believe it, but I could be wrong. I'm human. And then Angie was confused and said, wrong about what? And Mary said, I'm wrong about you. Mary feels like, she's big on loyalty. And Angie interrupts and says, nuh-uh, look at me. Look at me. And she tells her she's so sorry, y'all. And you could just feel the sincerity coming through the screen. I was like, oh, Mary. Y'all, I don't know about y'all, but for a minute I was worried. I was like, oh no, they can't not be friends. Mary, please don't shut her out. Don't stop, listening, and don't don't push her away. She's a good one. And as the scene goes on, they talk about um, Angie tells her, I think the pivotal point when she'd asked Mary, could she hold her hand? Mary said no at first. And she says, look, I'm not playing with you. And Angie tells her that she really loves her and that Mary has changed her life. And that's when you start to see Mary soften up some. And Angie starts to cry and tells her, look, I see you differently than everyone else does. And that she's gotten to know her in a different way. And she just doesn't like feeling shut out of her life. And Mary says, she hurt her. And Angie said that she didn't mean to hurt her. And she told her, Mary tells everybody at the table that she's told Angie everything. And Mary says it's just that because both of her parents abandoned her. And this is when she is explaining why for her it hits different, it's deeper. She said her dad admitted that he didn't like her. Y'all, that was sad. And that her mom was once her best friend and then she cut her off. Now, the thing with her mom, I remember them talking about the fact that, Mary's grandmother was the one that had all the wealth and the fortune. And in her will, her grandmother left everything to Mary, to include her husband. It was her wishes that she would marry her husband. And so Robert Sr. was at one point married to a grandmother. Child, that's how we started off. But with that, her mother had hard feelings and wrote her off. Her mother thought, not so much about marrying the step granddad, but about the wealth that her grandmother left her and left her in charge of her church, which apparently, I don't know. I don't think she still has the church, but I don't want to quote that 1000%. But at any rate, that's not the only reason she had wealth. So whatever wealth the grandmother had, she left it to Mary instead of her mother. Her mother cut her off. But then she goes on to say that she'd rather walk away from folks that hurt her because she remembers that feeling from being a 6-year-old little girl when her dad left and he told her mommy, y'all. She said her mommy. So it's like you could feel her reverting back to the hurt of being 6. It was a raw moment. She said he told her mommy he didn't like her because she spoke her mind. And Angie says, look, I am not abandoning you. And she's like, I also lost my mom and I have abandonment issues too. So in confessional, y'all, Mary says when you have abandonment issues, she feels like you lead with that as an adult. And you lead with that for the rest of your life. And it's very scarring. And she says when someone abandons her, it brings her back to feeling like that little 6-year-old girl. And she said, the thing with her dad, when he left, he legit never came back. He went on to live his life and never looked back. So that was a moment where we got to see more. We're getting to know a lot more about Mary and why she is so closed off sometimes. And maybe why she didn't really shine other than being funny, quirky, and a little weird in the first few seasons, because she didn't really feel connected with the other women. And that's now changed because she has Angie K, and I am certainly here for it, y'all. I love their friendship. They do end up making up, y'all. And Angie tells Mary she does love her and she wants to be her friend forever. And Mary in confessional says that she realizes that she did find a friend in Angie and that she has her back. And Angie has brought to Mary sisterhood, and Mary loves her too. So, like I said, that moment was, I think, a very pivotal moment where we got to see a very different side of Mary. We're getting to know her, and I thought that was pretty great, y'all. So at this point, Heather says, look, I thought that was beautiful. I love how vulnerable you were, Mary. and that you shared all of that. And she's like, I love this friendship between, her and Angie. And she was like, I know that Angie is your friend. And Mary thanks her. And then she's like, does anyone else have anything they want to get off their chest and kind of clear the air? Heather's running that show. They call Heather Gay the most produciest housewife of all time. I'm going to say I agree. Heather knows how to produce a moment, y'all. She's pretty good at it. And she did not disappoint in this finale. She was, I guess, trying to recreate the awesomeness of last season's finale. But she reined them in, honey. She set that thing right on up. So Meredith actually does have a concern that she wants to bring to the table, and she needs some resolution. So to Whitney, she says, you accused Lisa of planting a story with a blog about her jewelry company sourcing off of Alibaba. You said that you had proof of the person, and the person who supposedly gave you this proof contacted her. However, the person that Whitney was talking about that had this proof that Lisa put out the rumor that her jewelry was sourced out from Alibaba, that same person called Meredith and told her a very different story. And Meredith said years ago, she met the podcaster that Whitney had been talking to. And over the years, they'd seen each other a handful of times. Now, I think most of y'all know which YouTuber they're referring to. He talks about it on his channel. I'm not going to say who, but I'm going to give you my opinion. I think he's messy. I watched some of his stuff. He does have some relationships with some folks from the Southern Charm. Well, not just Southern Charm, I'm sorry. From the Vanderpump Rules cast. He had a stint where he worked for Lisa Vanderpump. And then he does have some connections in South Carolina with some of the Southern Charm folks. And he does have an in with some of these housewives in Salt Lake City, among others. I feel like in this situation, but I mean, he's doing his job, y'all. I'm not mad, but it does seem that he kind of got in there. He addresses it over on his channel. Earlier when it first came out on the episode where she is on the phone with the YouTuber, I think most of y'all know who he is, but at any rate, so Whitney has a pretty weak comeback. She was like, no, she basically, Meredith saying, look, the guy that you're talking about basically told her that, he didn't tell you any of that, so you were lying. And Whitney says that he did say it was Lisa, and he sent her a message that it was Lisa, and he followed up with a phone call, and that explained. And Lisa said that's not proof. And she said she doesn't feed vlogs or talk to them. And Whitney's like, yes, you do. And she's like, I have a lot of proof of it, y'all. And she says, prove it. And Whitney said that she also fed Reality Von Teese. Y'all, listen. Whitney just won't get off Lisa. Heather said, who told you that? And Whitney said, y'all, that she reached out to Monica herself. Yo, the table went crazy because y'all know they have made Monica Garcia their mortal enemy, child. And I think Heather literally uses those terms. They're screaming like, look, you must have been at a high level of paranoia and desperation to contact Monica, to ask her anything. But Whitney maintains that she did reach out of desperation to Monica and said that she had proof that Lisa leaked info to press media and how Lisa had worked with Reality Von Teese. Y'all, Lisa goes off, child. I don't see it for her and Whitney, okay? I don't see it for them. Whitney says she just felt like she was backed in a corner and she had to defend herself. And Lisa tells Whitney, at this point, they're going at it, not to point her finger at her. Y'all, Whitney points both fingers and then she goes to swat it. Like Lisa and Whitney they go at it. Lisa has done lunged at Whitney a couple times, child. I can't wait for the reunion. But Mary does kind of jump in and come to Whitney's defense some. She's like, first of all, you guys aren't the friendliest of people. So when y'all are mad at somebody and y'all gang up on them, I mean, it can make a person feel backed up in a corner. And she was like, because, I know because y'all have made me feel that way. And so Heather kind of comes in and breaks this stance up and says, look, I can't believe that y'all are letting somebody that you don't even know, someone that makes their living or just that's a vlogger, that you let them come between you two. She talks about how they have to maintain a presence where, they already have to fight outside people that talk about them, their looks, their businesses, their families that come from them, but they shouldn't be allowing those same people to infiltrate their circle and cause them to fight. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I mean, she wasn't wrong. It was kind of silly. I mean, look, it happens more and more. It happens with them. I think it happens with all the franchises. They all have some relationships with content creators, some of the YouTubers and vloggers out there and bloggers that they do have some inside folks that are friends that leak stories. I mean, it's good for the show sometimes because it brings us the drama out, the rumors and stuff. But sometimes it can go too far. I mean, we saw that with New Jersey. So she wasn't wrong. And she was like, we're just always so obsessed. Child, at this point, Heather is screaming and saying, we're so obsessed with finding receipts and proof and poking holes in each other's stories and exposing each other and finding out who planted what story on who about us. And it's not okay, and she just tells them, it's not okay for Whitney to be arguing with Lisa and Meredith over a vlogger. And that same vlogger in turn has exploited all of them. And he's a stranger and on the internet. And she tells Meredith, you don't need to be talking to him anymore. Change your number. She tells Whitney the same thing. And y'all, she goes into her monologue and says the whole infamous thing about, we laughed about Monica's burn book, but we all have our own burn books, and she says, not like, segue to like Mean Girls, but they're in our phones. And y'all, she brings up the infamous game of let's search our phone and go through our phone and our texts and find the worst thing that we've said about each other, someone at this table, and give it to them to read out loud to the group. Meredith thinks this is absurd, but she's got the idea that they're going to do that. They're going to talk about it, and then they're going to burn it, move on with relationships. So, y'all, let's go through the text messages, y'all. Let's go through what each text message had said. All right. So, first up, we had Mary that had written a text. Let me pull them up, y'all. I have them here. So the first one up was Mary Cosby. She had a message that she wrote about Heather. And it said, from day one, I never felt accepted by her or included as part of this group. She changed when she became successful. I think it went to her head. She started getting aggressive. And Mary added that Heather has become less humble, more competitive, and super mean, and forgotten the people who helped her get where she is. Y'all, I was thinking to myself, great text, Mary. You're saying what we're all thinking. But I got to give Heather credit. She cried at first, but she took it well. She explained herself, but yet she did apologize and owned it. Next, we have Brittany Bateman, child. And she had this sweet text that she had sent regarding not wanting to invite Mary for tea. Instead, she was going to invite Bronwyn. Nobody cared. Moving on. Child, then we go to Angie K. And she had a text about Bronwyn. And y'all, it was nasty. I love Angie K, but I tell you one thing. When she goes, when somebody goes low, she goes all the way down to hell, y'all. That thing, she gets low. She comes for your gut. She says, Bronwyn seems nice. I like her business plan. Marrying a guy who has one foot in the grave and one on a banana peel. But I like mine better. I'd rather be self-made. She's nice, but she doesn't listen because her ears are stitched down to her face so tight she can't hear anything. Her hot dog outfits remind us she sucked her way to the top. Oh, that was brutal. That was brutal. Woo! All right. And then the next one, we had Heather read her message about Whitney, and she called her a lowlife piece of ish. She says that she sold her soul for fame and recognition. She's a snake, and I should have never trusted her. I've been so stupid and loyal carrying her stupid Wild Rose products, even though I never sold at effing one. Child, that hurt Whitney, but she does tell her this was out of hurt and rage. They talk it through. And then Whitney reads her text about that she sent to Angie about Lisa Barlow. Woo! And it's like this. I wrote this text to Angie after I heard this rumor from a friend of mine, and I just feel like I chose this because I feel like this is the thing that I feel the worst about, and I want to clear the air about it. So she's going to preface it. So here's the text, y'all. It says, so I was at a party with Justin, and a woman approaches us saying that if we ever wanted to bring in a third, she's our girl. And the text read, in fact, Lisa and her husband, John, can vouch for her because she had made out with Lisa while jerking off John. Y'all, that text sent Lisa on a tailspin, rightfully so. She's like, what the F is that? Before throwing Whitney's phone down on the table. And she said, look, my husband has the most amazing integrity. I don't know how I feel right now because there have been so many lies. The fact that you would put that out there is effing disgusting. You took it too far. You involved my husband. It's too much. What if someone said that about Sean and you? So she directs it to Angie, which, y'all, I did not understand it. How it was Whitney that said it, but she went at Angie. She talked about it on Watch What Happens Live, and she was kind of like, because, when the rumors were out there about Angie's husband, Sean, that Lisa took up for her, and she felt like Angie should have stood up for her and didn't. And so she was she said it was an analogy, and Andy said, let's be clear, in Housewives, analogies don't work. But I think she thought she was making a point, but I thought that was ridiculous. Honey, Angie jumped up. The production came in to stop it before Angie got busy on her. Mary came to her side and said, there was no reason for her to bring you into this. It was a lot. They went back and forth. And then Lisa's before Angie jumped up, she said, instead of going with Whitney, she says that saying that she didn't care whether anyone believed that they had this threesome rumor, but she said, I heard Angie's husband, Sean, does circle jerks. And how does that feel? And so that's when Angie jumps up and threw flowers at her and was about to get busy. The producers rush in to hold her back. And she's like, why did you say that? F you, that's effing low. And yeah. And Lisa's stance was that nobody said sexual things about anyone else's marriage but hers. And Lisa said, making it clear that her anger was due to the fact that it was about her husband, that it introduced a new rumor to the party. And she added she would have been fine with the nasty messages about her appearance or literally anything else. Because Whitney's like, well, that was the meanest thing I said. I could have put the stuff that I said out there about like your looks. And Lisa was like, I'd rather you do that. And then y'all, I found it funny because she wants to know, like, no, what you want to say about my looks? Say it. Child, it was a lot. Now, other women called her horrible, repulsive, and then turning the situation on Angie, doing the same thing that Whitney had done to her. So the finale ended there with Lisa telling the producers to get the effing mic off of her, and she stormed out. Y'all, it was intense. There was a deleted scene where Lisa also had read a text to Meredith, and they didn't air it. They're going to talk about it at the reunion. And then Meredith's text also did not get aired. But we got a 3-part reunion that's coming up. I don't know about y'all, but I can't wait. We'll be back on Thursday to talk about part 1 that will be airing on Wednesday night. Y'all come back and let's talk about it. We will probably not be doing a double recap. I will get my thoughts out about Beverly Hills. This week I will do a separate recap for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So stay tuned for that. I will announce it in the community post, probably on Wednesday. Also on Wednesday, if you haven't yet, y'all go check out my other channel, Perspectives with Sherry. It is on YouTube, and I also have an audio format of Perspectives with Sherry that you can find me on anywhere that has audio podcasts, to include Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Amazon Music. It's everywhere. So check me out. And guys, as always, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't yet, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Trying to get to the next goal of 6K subscribers. We're getting close, y'all. And please like this video and share it with the message. And please let me hear from you. Slide in our comments and let me know what you thought about that epic finale. And I will see you guys later this week. Mwah, I love you. Oh, before I leave, y'all, it is Martin Luther King Day, and I want to leave you with one of my favorite quotes from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and it goes like this: if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. And I love that. And let's do that, y'all. Let's keep moving forward. Keep moving forward in positivity. And take some time, y'all, to do something kind. I'll see y'all later this week. Bye.